It's week 16 and round 2 of the fantasy playoffs. You either made it to the second round or you're my mom. Hi, Mom. Heck, at this point, some of y'all might just find me entertaining enough to stick around after you lost. But let's talk about the players with the best and worst matchups in week 16. Jeffrey, let's get it started.
Yes, sir.
Quarterbacks with the best matchups in week 16, Baker Mayfield. Baker goes up against the Dallas Cowboys, who definitely don't scare you. They allow the 10th most points to the quarterback position, and Baker's been slinging it. He's had 3 or more touchdowns in back-to-back games. I think he takes care of business in Dallas. Baker's game is tied for the highest over-under on the week. If you're looking further down on the list, Matthew Stafford has a good matchup against the New York Jets. The Jets allow the 5th most points in the last 5 weeks to the quarterback position. Heck, I actually even think that you can start the guy across the field from him, the previous bad man, Aaron Rodgers. 2 quarterbacks you're going to start, but do have great matchups, so I figured I'd just throw it in. Joe Burrow going up against the Browns. He's going to feast. And everyone and their mother starting Josh Allen against the Patriots. I also think the Lions focus on their passing a little more in this game, with David Montgomery going down, of course. Quarterbacks with the worst matchups in week 16, Tua Tagovailoa. Jalen Waddle's banged up. He goes up against the 49ers, who allow the 4th fewest points against the quarterback position in the last 5 weeks. This team is spiraling down. Now, the 49ers aren't a great team, but neither are the Dolphins. He's coming in just outside my top 12. I'm not excited about Russ versus the Ravens without Pickens. And of course, you're starting Jayden Daniels, but he does have a terrible matchup going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. They allow the 2nd fewest points to the quarterback position. So you're obviously starting him, but I am concerned about how big of a matchup this is going to be. Unfortunately, it's the same with Jalen Hurts on the other side. The Commanders allow the 3rd fewest points to the quarterback position in the last 5 weeks. But, I mean, he's still in my top 5. I just think that the upside is slightly concerning. Wide receivers with the best matchups in week 16, Malik Nabers. Nabers goes up against the Atlanta Falcons, who have allowed the most points to the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. I think Drew Lock should start at quarterback, and if that's the case, he should be pretty good. Jackson Smith-Njigba has the 2nd easiest matchup on the week from the quarterback position. The Vikings have allowed the 2nd most points to the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. As long as Geno Smith plays, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be a good start this week. Fire him up. Everybody's starting Puka, but Cooper Kupp crushed me and thousands of people out there last week. But just know, the matchup is really good this week. Going up against the New York Jets. The Jets allow the 4th most points against the wide receiver position for the last 5 weeks. I'm not saying you have to start him, but I mean, I definitely think he's a wide receiver too. Now, am I just going to say I'm not nervous? No. He's the reason I didn't get to the second round in one of my playoffs. I'm upset. But I also know he's unbelievably talented, and this is a great matchup. So hopefully he doesn't goose you. I know some of you are going to say, of course you're starting Mike Evans every week. Well, I get questions every single week of whether or not you should start Mike Evans. The answer is yes. 100% I'm starting Mike Evans every week. He needs to get to 1,000 yards, and he's going to need to average like 80-plus yards to get there. And he also has incentives, and he wants to get some touchdowns. Mike Evans is a fantastic play, and he has a great matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, who absolutely do not scare you. If you have Mike Evans, start him. I can't see very many situations where you're not starting him. I still bet I get 10 questions asking whether or not he should be in your starting lineup. You heard me. Look at this man go. Run, Forrest, run. Wide receivers with the worst matchups in week 16. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill goes up against the 49ers, who have allowed the 2nd fewest points against the wide receiver position. Now, Jalen Waddle's probably going to be out, and if he is out, Tyreek Hill will be the focal point. Well, I mean, kind of. Jonnu Smith is probably going to be the focal point, but Tyreek Hill should see a decent amount of targets, so he's definitely playable, but it's a pretty bad matchup, so temper your expectation. Trust me, I am. I'm starting him in the league. Calvin Ridley going up against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are good against the wide receiver position, and I'm concerned about the quarterback position. Mason Rudolph, also not good at football. Colts giving away the fewest points against the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. He makes me a little nervous. You're not benching Terry McLaurin this week, but he does have a bad matchup. Going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles have allowed the third fewest points to the wide receiver position. I hear you, but I can't imagine sitting somebody who has had 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Sometimes you got to roll the dice. Just a heads up, not a great matchup. This one really isn't about the matchup too much. Yeah, he's going up against the Giants. The Giants don't really scare you other than the fact that teams get up against them, so they don't really have to throw the ball much. I'm actually more concerned with the fact that there's a rookie quarterback, and I have no idea whether or not he's going to be good. But it's tricky, right? Because Kirk Cousins was awful. He was terrible for the last, month and a half? So it can't get much worse, but he's also a rookie. So I really don't know what to expect. I'm rooting for the kid, though, because Kirk Cousins has been awful. I mean, it can't get much worse. But to be fair to Kirk, he's thrown for 300 yards in 2 of the last 5 games. Only 1 touchdown and, 9 interceptions. Wow! 9 interceptions and 1 touchdown? That is pathetic. Yeah, Penix could probably do better than that, but it's the playoffs. I'm a little nervous. I still have him as a low-end wide receiver 1, but I'm shaking in my boots. Running backs with the best matchups in Week 16. James Conner. He's going up against the Carolina Panthers. Do I really need to say much more than that? The Panthers have allowed the most points to the running back position. They're not a good football team, and they're more competent on the offensive end now, so they might actually try to keep up for a bit, which will keep it closer, and James Conner might get to score even more points. Jerome Ford versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have allowed the most points to the running back position in the last 5 weeks. I think Jerome Ford is a solid running back too with Nick Chubb out. I am concerned about the quarterback situation. I would much prefer it be Jameis Winston, but beggars can't be choosers. You just got a running back 2 out of nowhere. You're welcome. If Tony Pollard plays, he has a good matchup. Going up against the Colts, who allow the 4th most points to the running back position. You like that. Should be a solid running back too. And with all the injuries going on in Las Vegas, Alexander Madison's probably going to get the workload. He goes up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are bad at football, especially against the running back position. The Jacksonville Jaguars have allowed the 3rd most points against the running back position this year. Yikes. Running backs you're obviously going to start but have fantastic matchups. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to dominate the Bears. And Bijan Robinson should run all over the Giants with a rookie quarterback. Running backs with the worst matchups in Week 16. Whoever starts for the Seattle Seahawks, whether it's Kenneth Walker or Zach Charbonnet or both, they're going up against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings have allowed the 3rd fewest points to the running back position. Not going to lie, it makes me kind of nervous. You're probably starting Brian Robinson Jr., but this is a bad matchup. The Philadelphia Eagles are fantastic against the running back. They allow the 2nd fewest points against the running back position. No bueno. But I actually think this is going to be a nice, solid shootout back and forth. So I still think that he's a solid play. I just think the matchup isn't very good. Rico Dowdle versus the Bucs isn't a good matchup, but worth a start. Isaiah Pacheco seems like he has a fairly limited workload in the Cleveland matchup. I'm curious if the team's going to run more going up against Houston, but Houston's pretty tough against the run. 7th fewest points allowed to the running back position in the last 5 weeks. 4th fewest on the year. So Houston's pretty good against the running back position. Hopefully Mahomes can get it going. And running backs that you're going to start but have a bad matchup. Kyren has a bad matchup against the Jets, but of course you start him. And you're obviously starting the King against the Steelers. Tight ends with the best matchups in Week 16. Travis Kelce. The Texans have allowed the 4th most points to the tight end position. Obviously you're starting Travis Kelce, but he hasn't been great recently. I think this should be a pretty good game. Another obvious start, but a great matchup. George Kittle going up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins have allowed the 5th most points to the tight end position in the last 5 weeks. Obviously firing him up, but you should be extra confident. Now for some players that are questionable, but have good matchups as well. These are more sleepers, except for this first one. Dalton Kincaid versus the Patriots. That's a good matchup. Chig Okonkwo has the 2nd best matchup of the week. And a deep sleeper, Brendan Strange. He had 11 receptions last week. He did get injured. I want to say it's an AC joint, but it's looking like he's going to play. It's more of a flyer, but Vegas is bad against the tight end position, so I think you can fire him up. So who did I get right? Who did I get wrong? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm here to help. It's playoff season. Playoffs? Playoffs? You just got to win a game. Good luck in your matchup this week. You got this. I'll see you soon, Bay Nation. Peace.